You, yes, you, with your headphones on, maybe on your commute, maybe stealing a quiet moment. Have you ever felt utterly trapped? Cornered by a situation, a relationship, a persistent problem that just wouldn't let go? Machiavelli, that unflinching surgeon of the human condition, understood this feeling intimately. He saw the world not through rose-tinted glasses, but with the cold, hard clarity of a battlefield medic. And his diagnosis for dealing with those who pose a genuine threat to your peace, your progress, your very well-being. Stark, unflinching. Either treat them so well, so genuinely that their animosity melts away like snow in spring, or utterly dismantle their ability to harm you, root and stem. Forget the wishy-washy middle ground, the polite but ultimately ineffective gestures. Because a viper left wounded in the grass will always try to strike again. Let's get personal, shall we? Think about that person, that situation, that gnawing anxiety that keeps you up at night. What's really at the root of it? Often, it's not the surface problem, it's a conflict, a power imbalance, a quiet but constant threat. Machiavelli wasn't just giving cold advice to Renaissance princes trying to keep their crowns. No. He was peeling back the layers of how we interact, how we fight for influence, how we balance security and vulnerability. In our offices, our families, our friendships. Now, picture that colleague, the one who smiles to your face, but subtly undermines your work, makes you question yourself. You've tried being kind, offered help, even confronted them, gently, hoping it would stop. Has it? Or has it just gone underground, waiting for the next moment to strike? Now, let's explore that first path, treating people exceptionally well. This isn't about being a pushover or a people-pleaser desperate for approval. This is a strategic act, a calculated move of profound strength. Think of a time someone was openly hostile toward you, critical, even aggressive. What if, instead of meeting their negativity with defensiveness or retaliation, you did the opposite? You offered genuine praise for a piece of their work. You proactively helped them with a task. You listened intently to their concerns without judgment. What could happen? Sometimes that unexpected wave of positivity can disarm them, make them question their assumptions about you. It can tap into their own need for connection, for validation. You're essentially building a bridge of goodwill, brick by painstaking brick. But here's the crucial caveat: the Machiavellian edge to this seemingly benevolent approach. It has to be real. People can smell insincerity from a mile away. Your kindness can't be a manipulative tactic, not a thinly veiled attempt to gain an advantage. It has to come from a genuine desire to understand, to connect, to resolve the conflict in a way that benefits everyone. This takes immense emotional intelligence, a willingness to see things from their perspective, even if you vehemently disagree with their actions. It's about understanding their motivations, their fears, their insecurities, and meeting those with empathy, not weakness. Because when you treat someone truly well, you're not just being nice, you're building a fortress of loyalty, a shield of positive regard, and when it works, they become invested in the dynamic you've created. However, and this is where the sweetness turns slightly bitter, even this path demands unwavering vigilance. Human nature is fickle. Circumstances change. Someone you've painstakingly won over with kindness might still turn if their interests shift, if they sense a greater advantage elsewhere. Your well-treatment can't be a one-time gesture. It needs to be a pattern, a rhythm, a way of being. The moment you slip, show favoritism, appear inconsistent, or seem weak, the seeds of doubt begin to grow again. The memory of past grievances resurfaces, and the carefully built alliance can crumble. It's like tending a delicate garden. Neglect it for a moment, and the weeds of negativity return faster than you expect. And that brings us to the other side of Machiavelli's coin: complete destruction. Now, let's be clear. In your daily life, this rarely means literal annihilation. It means something far more common and far more personal: the decisive, irreversible removal of someone's ability to negatively impact you. Think about that toxic relationship you finally ended. Not with a slow, agonizing fade-out, but with a clean, firm break. That was a form of destruction. You destroyed their access to your emotional well-being. Or that job you finally left, despite the fear, because it was draining you, hurting you. That was destruction too. You removed the source of persistent harm. This isn't about petty revenge or lashing out in anger. That's emotion, not strategy. Machiavellian destruction is cold, calculated, focused. It's like a surgeon removing a tumor. Painful, perhaps, but necessary for the health of the whole. It might mean cutting off all contact, building impenetrable boundaries, or restructuring a situation so the harmful element no longer has access to you. The goal is simple: finality, a clean break that prevents future harm. Think about the emotional toll of this path. It can be immense. Even when it's the right thing, even when it's for your own well-being, cutting ties can bring guilt, sadness, loneliness. You might second-guess yourself, wonder if you could have handled it differently. But Machiavelli's pragmatism reminds us, sometimes the long-term peace you gain far outweighs the short-term pain of separation. It's about one thing: your survival, your sanity. The key difference between strategic destruction and impulsive anger is intent. Anger is reactive, messy, often self-defeating. Machiavellian action is different. It's proactive, precise, outcome-driven. It's not about making the other person suffer for the sake of it. It's about one thing: ensuring they can no longer cause suffering to you. Now, consider a persistent bad habit, a self-destructive pattern. Sometimes treating it well, understanding its roots, gently nudging yourself toward change isn't enough. Sometimes you need to destroy its grip on you, radically. That means severing the routine, eliminating triggers, restructuring your life so the old pattern can no longer survive. That, too, is destruction. A Machiavellian strategy turned inward. The wisdom in Machiavelli's stark choice lies in its clarity. It forces you to confront the reality of the situation without hiding in the illusion of a perfect middle ground. It asks you, what are you really facing? A person capable of change? Someone who might respond to genuine kindness? Or a persistent pattern of harm that demands a clean, irreversible end? This isn't about becoming ruthless or heartless. It's about compassion for yourself. Sometimes the most caring thing you can do is to remove yourself from a harmful situation. And sometimes the most powerful way to dissolve conflict is to treat the other person with such genuine, consistent kindness that their hostility simply withers. The key? Discernment. Understanding the true nature of the person and the situation you're facing. So, as you move through the tangled web of human relationships, remember Machiavelli's enduring advice. Don't be afraid to be genuinely kind, to build bridges of trust and understanding. But also, don't hesitate to make the hard cut when your peace is on the line. The middle ground, as tempting as it feels, is often a breeding ground for continued conflict and quiet, unresolved pain. Choose your path wisely, with a clear heart and a steady hand. Now, let's go deeper. Because Machiavelli's message isn't just harsh, it's nuanced. He wasn't a simple advocate for cruelty. He understood power, and he understood how unstable human affairs can be. He saw what happens when leaders, or people, fail to act decisively. When we try to patch things up halfway, when we try to please everyone. That's when the seeds of conflict start to grow back. Quietly, patiently, waiting for their moment. Think about those times you tried to be reasonable. Tried to find a compromise that left everyone sort of satisfied, but no one truly content. What happened? Did the conflict disappear? Or did it just pause, waiting to resurface with more force later on? Now imagine a business deal. You concede a little. They concede a little. But neither of you gets what you really wanted. What's the result? A fragile agreement, built on resentment, ripe for collapse. Machiavelli might say, offer a deal so good they never want to turn on you, or draw a firm line they can't cross. That's how you create stability. The same emotional tightrope exists in personal relationships. You try to balance your needs with theirs. You make sacrifices. You avoid conflict. But underneath, resentment brews. You feel unseen, unmet, exhausted. Machiavelli's clarity asks, is this dynamic mutually beneficial? Built on respect and honesty? Or is it fundamentally unbalanced? And if it is, maybe what's needed isn't another compromise, but a decisive shift. Even if that means creating distance or ending it entirely. Think about the energy you pour into managing difficult people. Walking on eggshells, reading between the lines, trying to fix what keeps breaking. It's draining, isn't it? Now ask yourself, what if that energy was spent elsewhere? On nurturing relationships that give back. On building peace instead of negotiating tension. Machiavelli would argue, sometimes that's the better investment. The middle ground is often a quagmire. It consumes your time, your focus, your emotional life, and gives you nothing in return. Let's circle back to treating people well. This isn't sainthood, it's not martyrdom, it's strategy, with heart. Consistent, genuine kindness can be one of the most powerful tools you have. Think of a leader who listens, who recognizes effort, who treats people with respect every single day. That's not weakness. That's strength disguised as empathy. It creates loyalty, trust, a resilient team that doesn't need fear to stay united. That's the power of well-treatment done right. But remember, the moment it feels transactional, it collapses. If your kindness smells like manipulation, if people sense you're only being nice to get something, they'll turn on you faster than before. Because now, you've added betrayal to the mix. True well-treatment comes from a place of real respect, of genuine interest in the other person's experience. You're not managing them. You're connecting with them. And that difference is everything. Now let's revisit destruction with more nuance. In your personal life, it might mean setting firm boundaries and actually enforcing them. A family member who constantly disrespects you. Destruction doesn't mean hatred. It might mean limiting contact, refusing to engage in certain topics, creating physical distance if needed. Not out of cruelty, but out of protection. You're not punishing them. You're removing their ability to harm your well-being. In a professional setting, destruction might look like this. A toxic employee who drains the team, ignores feedback, undermines morale. You've tried warnings, coaching, second chances. Nothing changes. At some point, the cost to the team outweighs the benefit of patience. So you act. Clear consequences. Termination if necessary. It's not personal. It's not revenge. It's leadership. You're protecting the system by removing the threat to its health. That is strategic destruction. Machiavelli's wisdom isn't about being cruel, it's about being clear. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for yourself and for the whole system is to make a clean break. Half measures? They prolong the pain, they keep you stuck in cycles of disappointment. But clarity, whether through profound kindness or firm boundaries, brings peace. Not instantly, but deeply and over time. Both paths, kindness and destruction, require emotional courage. To treat someone with compassion, even when they've hurt you, takes vulnerability. To walk away, cut ties, set firm boundaries, takes strength. Neither is easy, but both are necessary at different times. Machiavelli challenges us to move beyond reflex, beyond emotional reactivity, and to ask, what will serve my peace in the long run? Ultimately, Machiavelli's advice is a call for clarity, for decisiveness, to look at your relationships with open eyes, to ask hard questions. Is this worth nurturing? Or is this harming me? Should I build the bridge or burn it down so I can finally move forward? The middle ground feels safe, but often it's the most dangerous place to be, because nothing changes there. Nothing heals there, only delay, only erosion. Now, let's talk about the ethical tightrope, because destruction can sound harsh, even wrong. In a world that values empathy, restorative justice, second chances, how do we reconcile that with Machiavelli's bluntness? The key is interpretation. Machiavelli wasn't advocating cruelty. He was writing for a brutal time where hesitation could mean death. Today, we translate that wisdom into boundaries. Disengagement, self-protection, not violence, not malice. So, think of destruction as a form of emotional self-preservation. You're not trying to ruin someone. You're trying to remove their access to your peace. You've tried, you've been kind, you've communicated, you've compromised, and they keep crossing the line. At some point, continuing to engage becomes self-abandonment. Machiavelli would ask, what's your next move? More of the same? Or something final and freeing? And yes, it's hard. Cutting someone off, even when they deserve it, can feel brutal. We're conditioned to accommodate, to give second, third, fourth chances, to avoid conflict. But Machiavelli's clarity reminds us, sometimes the most responsible, self-respecting action you can take is to walk away completely, without apology, for your sanity, for your safety, for your soul. Now, let's look again at the treat them well path. Because yes, it can be powerful, but it's not magic. It doesn't work on everyone. There are people who see kindness as weakness, people who exploit it, who feed off it. And when you keep giving to someone who only takes, you're not being noble, you're being drained. Machiavelli would tell you, don't confuse compassion with self-sacrifice. Think about that one-sided relationship, the one where you give and get nothing back. Not appreciation, not effort, not change. You've tried everything, and it never gets better. At some point, you have to ask, is this kindness or is this self-neglect? Machiavelli would say, redirect your energy, not out of spite, but out of wisdom. End the cycle, protect your future. Because here's the truth, not everyone is worthy of your effort, and not every situation can be salvaged. That's why Machiavelli's advice isn't a formula. It's a test of judgment. It demands you understand people, really understand them, their patterns, their motives, their limits. You have to know when kindness can transform, and when it's being weaponized against you. That's not cynicism, that's clarity. Now, think long term. What happens if your kindness works? You create loyalty, you build something real, a connection that lasts. But if it doesn't, if your generosity is met with silence, manipulation, or betrayal, you pay the price. You lose energy, you lose trust. You lose pieces of yourself trying to save something that was never yours to fix. Kindness without discernment becomes a slow form of self-destruction. Now, flip it. Think about what happens when you remove a harmful influence. Yes, it hurts at first. It's lonely, unsettling. But slowly, peace returns. You sleep better, you breathe deeper, you create space for better things, for better people. That's the hidden gift in destruction. It doesn't just end something, it makes room for something new. That's the brilliance of Machiavelli, not in his coldness, but in his realism. He knew you can't fix everything, you can't save everyone. And not all conflicts are meant to be resolved through kindness. Some are meant to be ended, cleanly, clearly, without regret, because your future depends on it. So what does this mean for you? It means learn to balance empathy with pragmatism. Know when to open your heart and when to protect it. Know when to build bridges and when to walk away. Don't act from fear or guilt or habit. Act from intention, with a clear sense of who you are, what you need, and what you're no longer willing to tolerate. So, as you return to your life, look around, look within. Who drains you? Who builds you? What patterns keep repeating? Ask yourself, have I done enough? Have I been clear? Have I been kind? And if the answer is yes, but nothing has changed, then maybe, just maybe, it's time to choose peace over persistence. Machiavelli's lesson isn't about cruelty, it's about freedom. The freedom to let go, to protect your space, to step forward without what's been holding you back. The power to act, not react, and finally stand in your own truth. If this message stirred something in you, if you felt seen, understood, or simply reminded that you're not alone in this, then don't let it end here. Click like, not for me, but to mark this moment as a step forward. And if you want more clarity, more strength, more truth in a world full of noise, subscribe. Join a community that values depth over distraction, wisdom over noise, and healing over pretending. Your journey doesn't end here. It begins with the choice to stay awake.